There are 16 million homes vacant at any one time, and 4.4 million of them are currently occupied by squatters.
They were doing a lot of damage inside the house.
So you must want me to take this and break your phone, because I don't think you want me to. No, give me this.
The police showed up, and the officer said, I should arrest you because they have the right to privacy.
I don't care if you're in their church at their wedding. If they beat the out of you, that's a bad thing.
I bought 2 properties with a business partner. After a year, one of the renters moved out. When I was sending a handyman over, we discovered pit bulls on the porch. Then out of the front door, one of the squatters came out. She told me that she had rented the home. I told her, I'm afraid that you can't stay here. At that point, her whole demeanor changed, and she began to get a little bit belligerent.
You're gonna vacate?
Yeah. Oh, no, of course, I'm not gonna vacate. I'm gonna let him investigate and do what he does, and once you find out I'm not fraud, then you can take the next steps.
I'm not gonna debate you. You can go ahead and get ready for it.
You can come back later. You can come back later. Matter of fact, I will call other people here as well, because I don't like how this is going.
On day 2, I drove by and I saw that the front door was wide open. Then the squatters came out of the back room.
Your police report states this is under investigation. So with that being said, we don't have to leave anything until the police comes back and tell us what would be the
I have every right to be in this house.
You don't have every right to be in the house at all.
I do, ma'am.
You do not.
I was astonished and horrified. They threw bricks at my car. They threw human feces at me. They broke windows in the house. They destroyed all of the walls in the house.
You don't have every right to be in the house at all.
I do, ma'am.
You do not. You do not, because according to my lease, me and my girlfriend owns the house.
If you
I'm not touching you, my
You are touching me, and this lady is doing it.
We're blocking you from coming in the house.
You are.
Damn it.
It's just unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, and it's happening all over.
It is. Now, Patty, you bought this as an investment. You're going to fund retirement with this. You're out working hard-earned money to make a smart investment. And so then you sold the house, right?
I had an offer and accepted it, and I went over there to have a handyman do a little bit of work, and they discovered 14 pit bulls and a mother on the front porch. And as I was walking around the back door to get in and investigate, it dawned on me, don't do this. I could be putting myself in danger.
Right. A very nice home.
It was a wonderful home in a great street.
How quickly did they seize on this property and move in?
The home had been vacant about 2 weeks. It had had a number of home showings. And I didn't really have any concept that I was at risk with having that house, posted for sale.
Were they one of the showings? How did they get in?
No, they sawed off the realtor lock, and then within about 30, 45 seconds, they can drill out the front door, replace it with their own, and now they have a key to the property.
Okay, now how is that not breaking and entering?
Well, the laws err on the side of if someone claims and has paperwork that says that they are, quote, a tenant, so they can simply have a fraudulent lease that they can download off the internet.
Okay, but once that's determined to be fraudulent, then how is that not breaking and entering? They sawed off a lock and got in. That's breaking and entering.
Well, right now, the laws do not qualify squatters in any way in the criminal court system. Once I post that they can be evicted, they have, by law, up to 24 hours to vacate that property. So theoretically, if police were posted outside the home for those 24 hours, then they could have walked into the hands of justice, but of course that doesn't happen, so they just scoot off to the next target.
Okay, but excuse me for being commonsensical, but did they break the lock?
Yes.
And then enter the home?
They did. We tried to push this up to the state's attorney in Florida, and the state's attorney's office replied, we don't really know who did it, so we're not going to prosecute the case.
Who told you this? This was the Attorney
state's
General?
attorney office.
State's attorney. And is that an elected position? in Florida?
I don't know.
If you're watching in Florida, you might want to find out if that's an elected position. Because I think they're elected to enforce the law. I'm pretty sure. And if...
You are commonsensical, aren't you?
Well, I'm just asking. I mean, so then they proceeded to threaten you and actually assault you.
They did. They physically assaulted me.
We actually have a little piece of tape of that. Let's take a look.
I knew that they were doing a lot of damage inside the house. I went over and saw the squatters outside.
So you must want me to take this and break your phone, because I don't think you want me to. No, give me this.
Back up, babe, back up.
Maybe he wouldn't have
Can
came
y'all
over.
please get away? Call the police.
Inside the house, they actually put you against the wall and put their forearm across your neck.
That's right.
Okay.
And then I was attempting to record them. They had stolen my can of pepper spray from my hand, and then my phone was knocked out of my hand, and they physically pushed me with a good deal of force out the front door, and I fell onto the porch, and then they slammed the door. But here's the kicker. The police showed up, and the officer said, I should arrest you because they have the right to privacy.
Okay, now, again, just call me old-fashioned, but assault and battery, if they violate you with intent to harm, in Florida, isn't that against the law?
It's against the law, but I was on their property at that
I
point.
don't care if you're in their church at their wedding. If they beat the shit out of you, that's a bad thing. Right?
Well, the police just don't have the appetite right now because they have been, I think, really encouraged to err on the side of renters' rights.
And again, I'm just a stickler for language, but renters pay rent.
Rent.
Okay, and how much rent did they pay you?
$0.
Well, let the police tell us we have a legal lease. So go on to the policeman. He don't know what's going on, and he needs to investigate. Right. So that's what I'm waiting on, investigation. Because I'm not leaving somewhere where I put my money in. So unless you have at least the minimum of $2,000 or at least $2,500, I'm not going anywhere until the police tells me I have.
Why would I pay you something?
Well, Patty, that's shocking here. She's extorting money.
That's their game, absolutely. They extort the property to live on, first of all, by taking advantage of the weak laws. And then secondly, they know that many homeowners will fork out $2,500, $25,000 or more just to get them out of the house, particularly in states where it might take 2 or 3 years to meander through the civil court system.
So she's saying, give me some money here, $2,500, and maybe we'll leave.
To be honest, looking back on it, that's exactly what I should have done because that happened a week or so into the whole ordeal. But I just had my value system, and I certainly wasn't going to fork over $2,500. I just stroked a check for $5,000 to an attorney to help me with this, and I'd lost a home sale, and I was losing potential rental income if the house wasn't sold. And so, to me, is why do I keep throwing good money after bad? But that's what I should have done.
Yeah, well, there's a whole name for it in the squatter world. They call it cash for keys.
That's right.
You want the keys? Give me some cash, and
That's
I'll
right.
give them to you. And sometimes that's the cheapest way out. It doesn't mean that it's the sensible way out.
They weren't budging. They knew the system better than most attorneys and certainly the average person knows.
Now, your attorney sent a summons 4 days later, but it's hard to serve them because they don't answer the door, right?
That's right. Eventually, they were given the summons, and then it takes 20 days, as you noted, a minimum of 20 days to go through the civil court system so that the judge can hear the case with all of the evidence. But 20 days, it doesn't happen in that time period.
No, that's in the perfect world. That's if you're first in line and everything works right and the wheels of justice are turning and
That's right.
all that. In the meantime, they're having a sledgehammer party in your house.
Doing drugs,
Yeah.
bringing random people over. I mean, sometimes there were 10 to 12 people there. They were harassing the neighbors. They stole appliances and sold them.
How much damage do you estimate was done to the house?
Dr. Phil, they did $40,000 worth of damage. I mean, that house was pristine when it was on the market. And I had just had everything repainted, recarpeted, new appliances. It was turnkey and all landscaped and all. And they just destroyed it. When I walked in, there were maggots everywhere from garbage and human waste that they had left. There were eggs thrown, mattresses, and their random goods that they had left.
Do you have any theory as to their motive for doing that kind of thing?
They were simply getting me back. In my experience, now there's no data here, and I think that universities need to really look at this to see the causalities of squatters and what the motivation is, because we've got to better understand this pandemic of squatting. But in my personal experience and others that I've spoken to, these are typically not unhoused individuals looking for a shelter over their head. That's a little bit of a horse of a different color, so to speak. The vast majority that I have experience with are simply entitled people that know that the law is on their side and they are working the system. And I'm telling you, it's only getting worse. And violence is happening because the laws are not there to protect the lawful homeowners. This country was founded on the right of property ownership. It was founded on the right to access things that you own. And in this world right now, in every state in the union, the laws are written to protect the unlawful over the lawful, over people like me that have one or two properties that are just trying to make a little bit of a living for my retirement. I pay taxes. I kept the yard up. I was a good neighbor. This was in my own neighborhood.
Yeah. This isn't someone that is working hard and can't make ends meet and they couldn't make the rent for 30 days. That's not what we're talking about.
Well, let me tell you this. So when they moved out, and I was over there cleaning up, I found a receipt. And on that receipt was a budget for a 2-day weekend vacation that my squatters were vacationing. And it was a 2-day vacation, and they had the good sense to write a budget, which I really commend them for. And on that budget was $300+ for a hotel, a couple of $100 for a rental car, and $230 for weed. So they had a nice amount of cash in their pocket that they could have been using to pay rent, but they were living their best life.
Well, they might have run out of weed if they'd paid rent.